I'm Lynelle Long. I was born in Vietnam and I came to Australia as a 5-month-old baby. My white Australian parent flew to Vietnam, picked me up in the middle of the war, brought me home, and I grew up in rural Australia on a dairy farm. And life was pretty tough there because, there weren't many around me who looked like me. And Australia had just come out of the White Australia policy time. So culturally, socially, it was a pretty challenging time to grow up here. My wish list from states would be, firstly, to put some legislation in place to even recognise illegal and illicit adoptions, because currently we have no protections under the current system because illegal and illicit adoption is just not even, it doesn't exist. We can't be considered under the trafficking protocols. We have no right to even claim justice or access legal services because no one knows what to do for us because there is no legislation. My second part of that wish list would be that states would recognise that this has historically been happening since the 1940s, 50s, 60s. There are decades and decades of us, generations of us, who are impacted by illegal adoptions, and we journey this journey alone because our governments that facilitated or that turned a blind eye. Our states need to acknowledge and recognise that this has been a historic practice for such a long time, and that there are decades and generations of us who have been illicitly and illegally adopted. We need governments to recognise it before we can even get any help and support. Thirdly, for those of us who have been illegally and illicitly adopted, we need them to actually help us find our families. So that the very basics of that would be the search and reunification with our families, to allow us the opportunity to actually find them. It's one thing to acknowledge the harms, it's another thing to do something to help us about it that's constructive and helps us move forward. While the states don't even do that search and reunion, it's like denying that this has even existed and has even happened. And it's another trauma on top of all the rest. As an adoptee myself who's been one of these children who's had an illegal or illicit adoption, I really feel that states need to step up and actually fund our searches. They should be providing and vetting and accrediting search organisations so that they are trauma-informed, so that they are running a service that is completely not taking advantage of us again. Too much of that's happening already where, we are left to our own devices without support, without guidance, with no one vetting the support, the search service. And it's horrific when adoptees get charged thousands and thousands of dollars to actually access the very basics of our human rights, our right to our origins, our right to identity. That should all be freely available. We shouldn't have to fight for this. It became very obvious to me in the Hague meetings that I've had is the conflict of interest that states bear is quite significant. So, for example, a state will facilitate our adoption, but yet when we have shown that there have been illegal or illicit things happening in our adoption, if they've been a party to being the facilitator, they seem to be more interested in protecting themselves because adoptees are suddenly starting to sue parties and states. And you see this real conflict of interest where the states who are supposed to support and be all about our best interests are no longer actually putting our interests and needs first, because the highest priority now to them as a state is actually protecting their own interests. I really believe that what's needed is an independent organisation or intermediary organisation or somebody that we can actually go to when these things have been done wrong to us by the very states who have facilitated it, where we can go independently and get support and help. And that needs to include legal help, because currently there is nowhere to turn if you're a victim of an illegal or illicit adoption. So states need to fund these independent bodies. They need to make sure that they are very independent and there's no corruption, no connection. But until we have that, the victims of illegal adoptions around the world, we remain very vulnerable and very unsupported for the very things we need.